for a minute while I start the live stream.
Oh, I should probably put the camera up.
All right.
There we go.
And shut that down.
All right.
Here. Got it. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. Today is June. Today
Could you speak a little closer to your microphone, please, Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Can you hear me better now?
A little better.
I don't know what's wrong with this. Okay. Okay.
You sound great now.
Today's March 16th. It's 2:10, and we're going to be discussing HB 691. And if we have the opportunity, we'll go to the other bill. But Matthew, can you start the discussion, if you will, please, on let us begin with where we left off yesterday in reference to the discussion relevant to the lead person.
Yes.
The lead person for the tenants.
Sure. And if you can,
right away.
yes, and if you can enable screen sharing, I can bring up the reprint as well. But just to start in the interest of time, so leading off where we were yesterday, there was this question about the lead petitioner and whether or not they would be engaging in the practice of law in the bill as drafted. There was also a question just generally about attorney's fees, and the judiciary brought up how there would be a preference for a discretionary may versus shall award attorney's fees. And then finally, and I forget, I believe one of the members asked a question about what happens if somebody drops out of one of these actions.
Correct.
But generally, the lead petitioner, what if it happens if they drop out? So those were the three main issues coming out of yesterday, and the copy of the reprint I sent you this morning and the amendment number for everybody is 223026. That has several amendments in it that we hope will correct those three main concerns that were brought up at the discussion yesterday. If I can, yes, good, I can share now. Okay.
Yes, share your screen and go through those. Thank you, sir.
So specifically, none of the amendments have changed based on what was discussed yesterday. Only new things have been added. So the first part would be on bill page 5, where there was this question about this language here about on whose behalf the action is maintained or who has joined the action. That struck that to make it clear and to support new language at the bottom of, or sorry, on page 6 of 8 of the PDF. No, sorry, PDF page 6, clarifying that nothing in the section shall be construed to authorize the lead petitioner to represent the interests of other tenants that may join the action, or to authorize the lead petitioner to engage in the practice of law, unless that lead petitioner is already authorized to do so because they are an attorney. Moving right along to another issue, I'm going to scroll back up. It's on bill page 5, PDF page 5 as well. This language here at 6 is new language that addresses this question of what happens if the lead petitioner were to decide, hey, they wanted to leave the action, request to leave the action, or if the court actually goes a little bit further, it allows the court to remove the lead petitioner under certain circumstances, such as the lead petitioner failing to pay their rent into the escrow fund, or if the court otherwise determines in the interest of justice that they would need to remove the lead petitioner. And then the final bit about attorney's fees is on bill page 6, PDF page 7. It's right here. And just it creates that discretionary language where a court may award reasonable attorney's fees if a court awards any other relief to those parties, to a tenant or a lead petitioner or a group of tenants under this section.
And
Move favorable.
on the amendments, we have a motion favorable on the amendments. All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying
You
aye.
need a second.
All right.
I'm sorry.
You need
Second.
a second.
Second.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, we have a motion and a second on the amendments. Is there any discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, motion favorable on the bill as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, all in favor of HB 691 as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Seeing none, opposition, is that opposition? Delegate Naraki is opposed. All the others are favorable and, I'm sorry.
Are we voting on the bill
opposed?
or the amendments?
Are you
The bill.
opposed?
Bill,
You're voting on the bill now?
As amended.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I oppose the bill.
Okay. That's Baker. I see your Baker and Naraki. Delegate Lehman, I see your hand up. Are you in opposition of the bill?
Yeah, no. I just
Okay.
wanted to make a comment.
Okay. How about if I let you do a comment after we get finished with the
Okay,
closed session? The having a favorable majority on this particular piece of legislation, it will receive a favorable with amendment to the full committee. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Delegate Lehman, you have a statement explaining your vote?
yeah, no, I'm not excited. Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to give you kudos for your work yesterday on this bill. You were doing a lot of juggling and you were pretty fleet of foot. And I want to thank the sponsor for working with all the different stakeholders and getting through this, and pleased to support the bill as amended. Thank you.
Thank you. I learned that from Muhammad Ali. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Definite resemblance.
We have 4 minutes left. Matthew, pull up 1121 and let's discuss that real quickly, if you don't mind.
certainly. So,
This is the Bridges bill?
Yes, sir.
yes. Okay, so this is the bill some of you all may remember about buyer notification in contracts of sale. Generally, the purpose would be for prohibiting the contract of sale for a single family residential real property from containing the name of an individual. It would only apply in situations where you're dealing with single family residential real property sales, where an individual buyer executes an agreement for services with a real estate broker. This wouldn't apply to a private seller sale. And generally, I'm happy to answer questions on the bill. I'm happy to answer questions on the bill.
I think it's a very good bill. And this is only for persons that are purchasing a property through a broker. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I understand that a concern was raised about people who were attempting to buy a house who were on the sexual predator registry. And I understand that it's not easy to, in this scheme, it's not easy to invalidate a contract after it's been accepted, but I wonder if a concept that could work for the house would be the seller asking the purchaser to certify that they are not on such a registry. And then if after the fact it's discovered that they are, that would invalidate the bid. Is that a mechanism that could be employed?
They could, like attestation or attest that they are not on that list.
Yeah.
Is that the only list that you're concerned about, Mr. Chair?
It's the only one where I've heard a concern. I'm not concerned about any of them personally.
And how would being on a sexual predator list, I'm just asking this question here now. I guess someone would be concerned that they're moving into a neighborhood, into their neighborhood, I guess is what the issue
I
is.
suppose, yeah.
Matthew.
Well, I watched the hearing and I just bring up some of the points that are made at the hearing. So the concern would be that, and I believe it was Delegate Stewart who may have raised this, there's not a protected class for sexual offenders. I'm just going to be blunt. So you could discriminate against an individual you could choose not to sell to somebody based on that. And so the issue was, well, what if somebody wanted the name to determine is somebody's status as a sexual predator because the neighborhood has a lot of families and they want to keep the kids safe. So that was the general issue that was brought up. Just to
So
remind.
so if there is a sexual predator, I'm assuming that the only time frame that person could be identified is after the contract has been accepted by this bill. Is that correct? Because that's when the name goes on the
That's when the
contract.
name would be disclosed and a seller could then look up and see if the individual happens to be on the list, if they were going to do that.
Delegate Boyce?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I understand it, depending on who lives in the surrounding area, first, the quote unquote person on the list would not be able to purchase the home. Isn't that correct?
Well,
Like, so in other words, if there isn't a quote unquote risk within X amount of miles, the person would be entitled to purchase the property. Isn't that so, Matt?
I wouldn't use the term entitled to, they'd be eligible. They wouldn't be preempted because they live in proximity to, say, a school or some other.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like before they would purchase, they would have to be cleared about where they could live as it relates to potential risks like schools or X amount of potential children.
Daycare.
Yeah,
Daycare.
I think this was coming down not to that question of could they, you're dealing with a school or a daycare. It's a decision made by the seller of whether or not to accept the offer
Okay.
because of their staff. Yeah, because of that.
What I want to pinpoint again is that during the contract phase, they're only using initials, and the name won't appear until the acceptance of the contract. Let me get to is that all the questions from, and we're going to have to go because I'm now backing up against other subcommittee chair.
Mr. Chairman, we're not voting on this bill. I know that it's concern. I just wanted to say it out loud. I want to make this bill work somehow.
Okay.
I want.
Yeah,
But I also don't want it to blow up on the floor of the House.
especially when I have the microphone in my hand. You're so good to me, Mr. Chair. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be meeting tomorrow and Saturday, so we're going to hold this bill so that I can give deference to the other subcommittees that have to meet in 2 minutes ago as well.
Bye.
This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye, Mr. Chair.